Hi everyone. First of all, we will look at the data set. We will identify what are the issues that we have in the data. First, I'm going to point out to you manually what the issues are and how we have to fix it. And then we will also see if generative AI is smart enough to be able to identify the same issues for us. Once we know what are the issues that we have to fix, then I will be showing you how to do it on Power Query. Now that can be done either on Microsoft Excel or on Microsoft Power BI. We will also be working on Python. We will not actually be writing the Python code, but we'll be using ChatGPT, generative AI for it. And then also, can generative AI do it directly with little supervision required from our end? So this is the data with which we are working. We have the source head, so that is digital, reference and TV. Even though the reference here has to be removed because we don't really need that as a part of our final dashboard and visualization. Under the two source heads, which is digital and TV, we have different sources. Under digital, we have Facebook, Google, affiliate. Under TV, we have Care World, Cinema, Divya. We have the qualified lead for 3 week, 1, 2, 3. Then we have the total. Then we have the landed conversion for 3 week, its total. We have the cost for 3 week, and finally the cost of acquisition. Now the cost of acquisition, which is week 1, 2, 3, is nothing but 1 divided by the other. That means if I divide my week 1 cost by my total landed conversion, I get 1206. Now, the data looks okay, but then this isn't the correct format of the data. The data ideally should not have the subtotals. That means the digital total in row number 11 and the TV total in row number 23 have to be removed because there's no point of having the value coming more than once. After all, 11,000 is nothing but the sum of all the other values, isn't it? Same way, we don't want to have the COA because the COA is supposed to be a computation. We can't do the calculation in Excel and then load it in Tableau or Power BI. This calculation at an aggregate level must be done directly within the business intelligence application, whether we're working on Power BI or Tableau. So first, I'll be showing you how to do this using Power Query. Now remember, Power Query can be done either on Microsoft Excel or on Microsoft Power BI. So I'm going to open a new Excel file. We will go to Data, Get Data from File, and then select Excel Workbook. I'm just going to make a copy of my file, or as a matter of fact, I can even close the raw data for the moment. So one more time, we go to Data, from File, from Excel Workbook. We select raw data. And now this opens up the Power Query interface. We select our sheet called Sheet 1. There are two options we have. One is to load the data, the other is to transform the data. Obviously, we have to transform it because the data does not look clean. So the moment we take it to transform data, this is the interface that we get. On the right side, there are 3 steps. The first is the source, that is the path of the file, the name of the file. The second is sheet 1, which is the name of the sheet that we are picking the data from. And the third is changed type, which basically means that every column is being assigned a data type. Even though right now it doesn't make sense because it is not able to pick up the data type correctly. So the very first thing I would like to do As you can see, we have row number 3 that has the source head, the final source. Then we have the qualified lead for 1 to 3, the landed conversion for 1 to 3, and then we have the cost for week 1 to 3, and then finally the cost of acquisition. So we will start with the easy one. Obviously, the COA is not required, so I can select all these 3 columns, right click and remove them. Now what we have is the first row, which again is not really required. Now the only point here is that if you look at these null values, the null values have to get picked up. That means qualified lead has to come 2 more times, right? Now there is no one correct method of doing this. We can of course, try different combination to see what works for us. So what I'm going to prefer doing here is to first promote my header. So in home, we will select first row as headers. Even now there is one extra row that is coming at the top. So I want to do first row as headers one more time. And if you look carefully, qualified lead, landed conversion, and my cost, right? So we are able to see the value. It's just that these values are only coming one time, even though they should be coming 3 times for the 3 weeks. Let's remove the grand total as well. We'll remove the grand total. And that is our data. We want to fill up all these null values. So right click and then fill down. All the values get filled up. Now the total has to be removed, which is the TV total and the digital total. So from here I can apply a text filter saying that it does not contain the word total. So it looks a lot better. The only thing is that I need to have 3 weeks coming one below the other. So what we're going to do here is I will right click and duplicate 2 times the entire query. And in the first one, we will select everything except the source head, the final source, and the 3 weeks, only for the qualified lead. So I'll delete all the columns. Now we can promote one more time, use first row as headers, select the first 2 columns, right click and unpivot all the other columns like this. So now we have digital Facebook week 1, 2, 3 and the 3 numbers below it. Let's do it for the other one also. Now this time I will delete the 3 weeks for qualified lead. We will delete the cost, promote the header as we did before, right click and unpivot other columns, and then one final time. This time we will only take the cost, remove all the other column, promote the header, select the first 2 columns and unpivot other column like this. So now we have 4 columns: source head, final source, attribute, value, for all the 3 metrics, which is if you can see, our qualified lead, then we have landed conversion, and then we have the cost. So they just call it qualified leads, landed conversions, and this is our cost, and this would be the week. There we go. Now I can select sheet number 1, go to merge query. We want to merge it from the duplicate that we created. The matching columns would be source head, final source, week, source head, final source, week. It will merge the entire table. We will expand it. We only need the landed conversion. Here we go. Let's do the same thing one more time. Merge query. This time I'll take it from sheet 1.3. Source head, final source, week, source head, final source, week. And if we expand this, we only need the cost, and there's our cost. So as you can see, we have the source head, the final source, week, that is 1, 2, 3, the qualified lead, landed conversion, and the cost that comes like this. Now let me close and load it. Let's also go back and double check the values once. As you can see, we have Facebook at 954.1104.1040. So we have 954.1104.1040 like this. Then we have the landed conversion 188, 248, 240. And then finally we have the cost, which is 226, 436, 454. There are a few blanks that come here. So digital others, you notice landed conversion and cost is null. So we can verify that. If we go to digital others, we can see that indeed the landed conversion and the cost is null. Perfect. So that's one way of cleaning the data. Now I also want to see if ChatGPT can do it for us. So we'll simply take the file and we want to ask it, is there a problem with the data structure? Now, as you can see, it tells us that columns are unnamed. There are some not a number values. The headers are misaligned. There's merging of different data type. Column naming is not clear, and there are multiple headers present. Now, before I ask it to fix it, I'm going to ask it, before you clean it, let us discuss what the correct data structure should look like. Now, as you can see, it tells us that it should be the source head, the final source, the metric, the week, and the value. Now, what it is doing is keeping the metrics one below the other. And that is where I would tell it that the rest is okay. I will say looks good, but I want the 3 metrics in 3 different columns. The rest is okay. And as you can see, the source head, final source, week, qualified lead, total conversion, and the cost. So if we go back and verify, that is exactly what we had done with Power Query, like this. So now it is writing the Python code. Let us expand this. So if you notice, we have source head, final source, weak, qualified lead, total conversion, and the cost. But the only way we know for sure whether this is correct or not is to download it. And let's have a look. Perfect. As you can see, we have digital Facebook, week 1 to 3, 954 1104 1040. Here as well, 954 1104 1040. Right? And everything looks good. If you just take all the three columns and we look at the sum, it is 18572124. And here the number is a little different, right? So we'll have to just go back and double check. And you can clearly see that it has taken these reference totals as well. And also if you notice, it has taken the digital total as well. So that's the correction we have to do in both places. So first we go back to Power Query and right click, table, edit query. Now remember, we don't want the reference either. So we want to remove the reference from here. Close and load. And similarly, now we have to go back and tell it, thanks, please remove reference. That means from my source head, I want to remove reference, and from the final source, we want to remove digital total and TV total. And then from the final source, remove and the digital total. Let's download it one more time. Nine two eight 4370. 928 4370. Right? So the data is matching perfectly. And finally, if I ask ChatGPT, thanks, working perfectly, can you combine all the Python code into one single code? So the best part is that now the code is coming along with the comment, and right from the very first step where we are importing pandas, we are loading our file, we are removing the unnecessary rows, renaming all our column, removing the columns we don't require, doing a forward fill, removing empty row, reshaping the data, and so on and so forth. We get our entire code like this. So there we go, everyone. We started with a bad file, which looked like this. We removed the reference, we removed the TV total, digital total, we removed the COA, we had to unpivot the data. I used Power Query for it. Then I also showed you how on GenAI it can help us identify what are the issues that we have to clean, rectify, and also how it can actually do everything for us. It literally writes the entire Python code along with the comment so that this becomes a reusable code for us.